So I'm currently reading through the Apocrypha,
All right, let's see it.
which is all of the books from the Bible that were banned because they either made God look bad or Jesus less divine.
So this is not an accurate description of the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is a specific set of books that includes texts like Esdras and Judith and Tobit and the Wisdom of Solomon and the books of Maccabees. And these were texts that were included in the Bible for over 1,000 years after it was canonized, but were considered to be kind of on the margins of canonicity. We didn't have any Hebrew manuscripts. They were in Greek. They were probably composed in Greek. They were considered worthy to be studied privately, but they were not to be read in church services. Now, they were included in the Vulgate, and they were considered to be canonical by the Orthodox and the Catholic churches, but Martin Luther pulled them from their positions and put them in a separate section in his version of the Bible and labeled that section the Apocrypha. And it was included in Protestant Bibles until the 19th century when publishers began to omit the Apocrypha from their Bibles. And by 1881, the publication of the revised version of the King James Version, it became standard to omit the Apocrypha from Protestant Bibles. Now, the Apocrypha were all Jewish texts, so they had nothing to do with making Jesus less divine, but there are other texts from early Christianity, particularly the Gnostic texts and other what are called pseudepigrapha, or writings that are attributed to famous figures from Jewish history or early Christian history that were clearly not written by those figures, that could be categorized as texts that were thought to make God look bad or to make Jesus less divine, but they were never a part of the Apocrypha.
I'm currently working my way through the book of Adam and Eve, and oh boy, do I get it now.
So the book of Adam and Eve was never a part of the Apocrypha. It actually wasn't written until probably around the 6th century CE, so after the biblical canon had already more or less been established.
At first, I didn't, because this is the part in the story of Adam and Eve right after they get kicked out of the garden. And it goes all the way up until the actual murder that the boy performs. And this is where all the prophecies for Jesus' next coming is coming from.
This text was not written until several centuries after the New Testament had already been written, so nothing in the New Testament about Jesus' second coming is influenced by this story.
This is where they go, hey, don't worry about your original sin because, the Messiah's coming. And I'm sitting here going, why would they kick that out? Why would they kick that out when, it's full of all these wonderful promises?
They didn't kick anything out. It wasn't even written until over a century after the formalization of the biblical canon.
It was Adam. Adam's the one who got the Adam and Eve Bible kicked out of the Bible. Because it turns out, for 10 days straight, Adam did nothing but whine about getting kicked out of the garden. He did nothing but whine and cry and go, why do I have to eat? Why is it dark? Why do I have to sleep? He was so whiny that he unalived himself. He literally cried himself to death. And God brought him back and basically was like, hey, get with the program. You don't get to do that. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
So the details of the story have absolutely nothing to do with the omission of this story from the biblical canon. It was its non-existence until over a century after the biblical canon had been established that is primarily responsible for its absence from the biblical canon.